As we continue to learn how to ace our responses, I want to share with you guys a specific strategy for how to cite evidence. We want to make sure that you're giving really strong, supportive evidence to your answer. Remember, you guys are like lawyers. You want to offer good and relevant evidence for your cases. For example, in a court trial, if you're trying to prove that a man is guilty of robbery, you're not going to say, my evidence is that I think there are some diamonds in his car. I seem to remember seeing them there the last time I checked. No one would believe you. Now, if you actually had a picture of the stolen diamonds, or better yet, the stolen diamonds are in a plastic bag that you can point to, and then, only then, would you have clear and hard evidence. And therefore, more people would be convinced. You need to do the same exact thing in your responses. You need to seal it in a bag. You need to show your reader your hard evidence. You do this by citing the relevant article, the page, or the paragraph, and then extracting or taking out the words and phrases from the text. I'm going to show you what I mean in this lesson. By the end of this lesson, I want you to be able to cite evidence by lifting the line from a text. So let's begin with a little bit of practice, see where we're at here. You're a lawyer and you have to make your case. I want you to read the A that I've provided for you and the E that I've provided for you. And then I want you to fill in the C. So the A is the suspect is guilty. The E is this is significant because the car belongs to him. Now put in the C. Put in the evidence that would go with that. Okay, so hopefully you've put in some good evidence there. But let's see how good it is by going through this lesson. So today I'm going to teach you the strategy that I want you to be using from now on to cite evidence from a text. So this only really will work if you actually have evidence or if you're using some sort of written text. And it's called the lift the line strategy because you will actually lift lines right from the text to insert as your evidence in your ACE response. And remember, like a good lawyer, you have to seal it in the bag. What do I mean by seal it in the bag? Using good evidence is really tough. So you have to make sure that you can seal it in the bag. That means you have to ask yourself, can I put this evidence in a bag and hold it up to show a jury? If you look over on to the right, you'll see a hand holding up a bag, and you'll see some bullet points there that show you different types of evidence that you could put in a bag and show to a jury. Things like pictures or pages or lines from a book, because I could print those out and put it in a bag. Your observations, because you can take a picture of what you're seeing and put it in a bag. Research, because you can print out the research and put it in a bag. Expert testimonies, because you could either write down what they've said or take a video of them speaking their testimony and put it in a bag or put it on a TV for your jury to see. Video clips, same thing. You can put it on a TV for your jury to see, or even put it on a flash drive and put it in a bag, and there it is. News reports, articles, these are all types of evidence that you could seal in a bag. And being able to seal it in a bag is what makes it good, strong evidence. So, how are you going to find this evidence and how are you going to put it into an ACE response? Well, number one, you're going to answer the question. Before we even go into writing our C portion, our evidence, you have to answer the question. After you've answered the question, you're going to go back to your text or whatever it is that you're looking at. You're going to skim the text looking for evidence. And if it's possible, you're going to highlight the evidence that you want to use. Now, a lot of what we're doing is digital, but a lot of places still allow you to highlight using an annotation tool. So if it's possible, highlight it. Also, put your finger on the line of evidence. Put it there. I know it seems silly, but it just is showing you that you can actually seal it in a bag. So put your finger on the line of evidence. Write down the page or the paragraph number where you find your evidence. This is really important because you're going to be using that page number or the paragraph number in writing your C portion of your ACE response. Next, you're going to either summarize, paraphrase, or directly quote the words or phrases in the text that you want to use as your evidence. Remember that summarizing is putting in your own words what is being said in that evidence. Paraphrasing is where you use a lot of the same words as were originally in the text, but you have rephrased it a bit in your own words as well. So it's a mixture of your own words and the original words from the paragraph, whereas summarizing is really just all your own words. You get the idea from the text, but you put it in your own words. Paraphrasing is a mixture of your own words and the words in the text. It's also a lot shorter than summarizing. Or you can choose to directly quote, and this is where you're literally lifting the line out of the text and putting it into your C as your evidence. Now, remember, if you use a direct quote, you must put that quote into quotation marks. Don't forget that. Next, you're going to try to use one of these sentence starters to start your C portion of your ACE response. We have on page blank, the text states. According to the text, the author states that one example from the text is in paragraph blank, it states. Any of those can be used as your C sentence starter when you're lifting the line. Now, I want you guys to pause this video and read this story. So let's practice lifting the line now that you've read that story. Your question is, how would you describe the character of the dove? Remember, the first thing you have to do, of course, is answer the question. And don't forget to use some of your strategies that you learned for answering a question, like just pausing and thinking about what the question's really asking you, and using the flip it strategy to flip some of the words from your question into your answer. So I've answered the question as, I would describe the character of the dove as caring. Now, to lift the line, we have to first go back and skim the story for evidence. Let's go to the next slide. Here I've gone back and I have highlighted my evidence of the dove being caring. I highlighted, so she plucked a small branch from the tree and dropped it into the river. That's my evidence that I'm going to insert into my C portion of my ACE response. So let's see how I've done that. Now that I've highlighted it, I note what paragraph and page it's on. I wrote that down on a Post-it note and I stuck it down next to my computer so that I can remember. And I use either summarizing, paraphrasing, or direct quotes to mark my evidence. So here I have my sentence starter. In paragraph, and I insert the paragraph number 2, it states. Now, I can use summarizing, paraphrasing, or direct quotes. I've chosen to paraphrase. So you're going to see a combination of some of the words that were in the original text and some of my own words, and it's going to be pretty short. So in paragraph 2, it states, the dove saw the ant struggling and used a branch to help the ant out of the water. Again, notice that I've paraphrased here. I've used some of the words that are in the text and some of my own words, but it's a lot shorter version of what happened in the story. Now that I've lifted the line using paraphrasing, I'm ready to elaborate my thinking. I'm going to use my sentence starter. This is significant because, and then I'm going to say why my evidence shows that that the dove is caring. This is significant because the dove did not have to help the ant, but made the decision to do so anyway. Notice, I did not repeat my A sentence. I did not say this is significant because the dove is caring. I tried to avoid using the same words that I used in my A. Notice I didn't even write the word caring here. This ensures that my elaboration is not just a repeat of my answer. So try to avoid using a lot of the same words. Try to write it in a different way. Me saying the dove did not have to help, but made the decision to do so anyway, tells my reader that the dove is caring. I don't need to say the word caring again. So now I put it all together as an ACE response. How would you describe the character of the dove? Here's the response altogether. I would describe the character of the dove as caring. In paragraph 2, it states the dove saw the ant struggling and used a branch to help the ant out of the water. This is significant because the dove did not have to help the ant, but made the decision to do so anyway. Now I want you guys to try this on your own. I want you to read the following text called Raising Baby Birds. Do that now. Next, let's practice lifting the line. So if the question is, would it be a good idea for humans to raise a baby bird? You need to pause and think about what this question is really asking you and use your flip it strategy to answer the question. I've answered it for you guys here, and I want you to follow this answer. It would not be a good idea for humans to raise a baby bird. Now I would like you guys to go back and lift the line. Skim the story for evidence. So I want you at this point To skim this article for evidence. You won't be able to annotate on this, so you might want to write down what evidence you want to use on a post-it note or a piece of paper now. Now you're going to actually use that evidence and lift the line to create the C portion of your ACE response. Remember, you can either summarize, paraphrase, or use a direct quote as your evidence. If you use a direct quote, please don't forget to put it in quotation marks. Please start with the sentence starter according to the article. You may do your C now. Good. Now that you have lifted the line, you're ready to elaborate your thinking. Remember, you don't want to use any of the words really that you've already used in the A portion of your ACE response. So let me go back to that ACE portion so that you can see. You don't want to say it would not be a good idea for humans to raise a baby bird. Try to avoid most of those words if you can in your elaboration. I want you to elaborate why your evidence proves that it is not a good idea for humans to raise a baby bird. Use the sentence starter. This is significant because. Please do this now. All right, so this is how we have lifted the line. I want you to start practicing this anytime you have a text in class with a question asked of you. Practice lifting the line, summarizing, paraphrasing, or directly quoting the text itself, and use that as your evidence because that's evidence that you can seal in a bag.